G'day and welcome to another edition of Hef's Homebrew. Today I'm going to be brewing up a milk stout. It is basically a chocolate coffee milk stout, so a fair bit going into it. It's based off something that I tried a couple of years ago. Turned out okay, hoping this one is going to turn out even better. So, kit based again, starting off with 2 cans of the Black Rock Oatmeal Stout. Chosen the Oatmeal Stout because I do want something with oats in it. I'm hoping that it's going to help create that nice, smooth, creamy mouthfeel. Along with those 2 cans, I'm also going to use 500 grams of dark dry malt, and I've got some light dry malt that I've had sitting around as well, and I'm going to throw in about 250 grams of that. So they're the basic fermentables. Along with that, I do have some lactose if it's going to be a milk stout, so we'll add about 200 grams of lactose. Going to use some grains as always, so here I've got 200 grams of dark chocolate, which obviously will help bring through some of that chocolate and coffee type flavors that I really enjoy in my stouts. I've also got 200 grams of Carapils. Now the idea behind that is if this is going to be a nice, smooth, creamy stout, then I want a really nice head that's going to stick around to go along with that. So the Carapils should help with the head retention. Coffee and chocolate. So got some cacao nibs here. This is 250 grams. I'm going to use 200, and I'm going to chuck that in with the grains to cold steep and then boil. Smells delicious. And then I'm going to cold brew up just some of my regular coffee that I use in the French press in the mornings. 1 gram per litre, so 23 grams. I'm going to cold brew it, and I'm going to add that like a dry hop. So they're the ingredients. Again, I'll try and grab some footage along the way. In terms of yeast, I'm going to go with 2 packs of Nottingham. Haven't used Nottingham before. Meant to be high performance, as it says here on the pack. I know it can get quite aggressive in terms of fermentation, so I'm going to keep the temperature reasonably low so that it doesn't go too nuts in the fermenter. I think that's everything. As I said, I'll try and grab some brew day footage, and we'll see how it goes. Catch you later. Okay, so out in the brewery, I've had the grain, so the 200 grams of dark chocolate malt, the 200 grams of Carapils, along with the 200 grams of cacao nibs, just cold steeping overnight in this hop sock in 4 litres of spring water, so 400 grams of grain, 4 litres of water, overnight in the fridge, and I'm just letting that drain off into the digiboil. Once that's finished, I'll boil that for about 10 minutes along with 200 grams of lactose. Once that's done, let the temperature come down to 80 degrees. I'll add the dry malt, the light dry malt and the dark dry malt, along with some East Kent Goldings hops. I forgot to mention that in the introduction. About 25 grams of East Kent Goldings. Let that stand for 10 minutes, and then we'll chuck that into the fermenter along with the liquid malt extract, the 2 tins of Black Rock Oatmeal Stout. Top it up with cold spring water to 23 litres, and we will be good to go. Also in the boil, I'm going to throw in one of the little packets of kit yeast, which will just act as some yeast nutrient. Okay, the 10-minute boil is finished, just letting the temperature come down to 80 degrees. Then we'll throw in the hops, hold that at 80 degrees for 10 minutes. While that's going on, I've got the tin sitting in some hot water, just loosening up. And then I will pour those into the fermenter, rinse out the tins with some very hot water so that when the hop stand is finished, I can pour this straight into the fermenter, and then we'll dump in the cold spring water on top, 23 litres. G'day. All right, here we are ready for the tasting of the Hef's Homebrew Mocaccino Stout. It's only been in the bottle for a month, so it is still on the young side. I understand that, but I'm keen to get this filmed and get it wrapped up and this video out. So we'll have a look at how it's going anyway, keeping in mind that it will most definitely continue to improve as it ages. I'll quickly crack it open, get it into the glass, and we'll have a chat about it. Okay, into the pint glass. Nice dark colour, obviously. And a real mocha head. Okay. So, look, like the last one I did, that's all right, I'll just hold it. Like the last one I did, I took a little bit of footage along the way, but I'm not sure what I'm going to include in the final video, so apologies if I'm repeating myself or telling you something that you've already seen. Original gravity was 1060, final gravity was 1020, so 5.25% ABV out of the fermenter, bottle conditioned with dextrose, so we're looking at about 5.75% ABV of this beer right here. 2 packs of Nottingham yeast is what I pitched, and I'd read about Nottingham and how aggressive it could be in terms of fermentation, but it's still absolutely blew my mind. It went nuts. There were visible signs of fermentation within 12 hours. The airlock was just going bananas at 28 hours. 36 hours, Krausen was at the top of the fermenter. Had to use a makeshift blow-off tube for a few days because it was just going absolutely crazy. And from what I could tell, it was pretty close to being all done after about 4 days. Crazy. In terms of the temperature, have I got that here? Was pitched at just under 18 degrees. Had it at 18 degrees for 5 days, then bumped it up for 20 for a couple of days. And then I added the coffee. So I had 23 grams of coffee that I cold brewed in spring water, just in a French press overnight. And then I poured that into the fermenter on day 6. That was in there for 2 days. Then I did the cold crash for a few days and then bottled. So here we go. We've already had a bit of a look at it. Yeah, very dark. Has that nice tan head, which is starting to subside. Coffee is not good for head retention. We know that, which was part of the reason why I included some Carapils. I wanted to see if that would counteract the oils in the coffee and help with the head retention. Maybe, maybe not. All right, aroma. Okay, the coffee is really quite pronounced. There is some chocolate and the general aroma of dark roasted malt coming through, some of which would be from the kit, some of which would be from the dark dry malt extract and the dark chocolate malt that was steeped. Bit of chocolate, I guess, from the cacao as well. I guess there's a hint of that lactose sweetness as well. But yeah, smells pretty good. Let's go in for the taste. Cheers. Certainly medium, medium to full body. It's not terribly bitter. There's certainly, I think the kit itself comes with a medium amount of bitterness, especially when you're using two kits. And then there's that kind of dry, lingering coffee type bitterness at the end, which I'm assuming is a combination of the dark malt, but also the coffee. The coffee is pronounced, it's quite prominent in the flavour. It's the dominant flavour, I would actually say, in this beer. But the chocolate is there, some dark chocolate, a hint of sweetness from the lactose, which is, I think, as the beer ages, is just going to help the flavour become a bit more rounded. But yeah, for a stout that's only 4 weeks old, pretty happy with how it's turned out. In terms of the coffee, the lactose, and the chocolate, which is really what I was looking for this to be a coffee chocolate milk stout. The lactose is not terribly evident up front. I am getting it's interesting. I've said it, there's a bit of a drying coffee bitterness finish to it, but there's also just a little bit of lingering sweetness from the lactose. I wouldn't mind a little less of the coffee. As much as I enjoy coffee, I wouldn't mind just a bit more balance between the coffee and the chocolate. So whether or not that means adding the coffee a little bit later, maybe only giving it 24 hours before cold crushing, or maybe looking at what I'm doing with the cacao and adding that at the same time as the coffee. I'm not sure whether including that in the boil and having it go through the active fermentation means that that's a little bit more subdued. So I guess something to experiment with going forward, and something to think about if you're considering brewing a beer like this. But look, getting a little bit of lacing there on the glass, which is nice. Overall, I am happy with it. I think it's going to turn into a really nice stout as we get into the last 6 weeks or so of winter and even early spring. I will, I'm pretty sure, try and hold on to a couple of bottles at least and give it a real extended aging period. I'll even see if I can hold one for 12 months and see what it's like next winter. But anyway, in terms of a score, I don't think it's quite as good as the dark lager, which was my previous brew, but pretty happy to give it a solid 4 out of 5. What's next? I'm not entirely sure. I'm tossing up a few ideas. I know I've mentioned before about doing a full extract brew, so doing a full boil with hop additions. Still interested in that. I'm also keen to rebrew my Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy beer, my Galaxy Lager. But also considering doing a proper mini mash, at least to contribute some fermentables from grain rather than just using the kit and extract. So got some thinking to do and a little bit more research, and hopefully we'll get something going soon. But anyway, that wraps it up. Thanks again for watching. Catch you next time on Hef's Homebrew.